Hello viewers and welcome to my review for SUPERHOT on the PC. To give you the quick lowdown, SUPERHOT is a first-person shooter where time moves only when you move. Sounds interesting enough, right? But is it any good? Well, in this video I hope to tell you, so sit back and enjoy. Now, I'll say this straight away, story is definitely not the main focus of this game. Sure, you have a campaign mode, but each combat situation is there to teach you the game's core mechanics and for you to learn the best way to survive each and every scenario. However, I'm not saying that there isn't a narrative in SUPERHOT. When playing through the game, you'll have the story delivered to you through messages on your computer and in a few other interesting ways. By the end of it, I was pleased at the story that was offered to me, but being realistic about it and honest, this is certainly not why I will remember this game in time to come. Gameplay. It's simple and fun. As mentioned before, SUPERHOT is a first-person shooter that is designed in a way so that time moves only when you do. This means that you have the time to dodge enemy attacks such as bullets and punches, set up your own line of fire and decide where and how much to move around the environment so that you can maximize your chances of survival. On the surface, this sounds quite easy, but both the player and enemies can be taken out with a single bullet or melee attack, and if you're thinking about going for headshot only run, then think again, because SUPERHOT requires players to not be so reckless when in game, instead wanting you to carefully decide where your next step will be and to use your weapons wisely, since aiming for the chest is obviously a much easier target than the head, and you really want to make sure you don't miss. As you progress through the game, you can obviously expect it to become more challenging with increased enemy counts and so on. Due to the ever-increasing difficulty from mission to mission, you'll absolutely have to rely on your awareness of your surroundings and enemies so to not get bogged down and eventually killed. You do, however, unlock an ability later in game that allows you to shift to whatever enemy is currently in sight, and this came as a bit of a surprise for me, and it was actually somewhat disappointing as I progressed through the game because it made some experiences feel a little bit cheap, as I wasn't really relying on careful movements anymore. Instead I was just looking for the next enemy to shift into. I do believe though that there are only 2 instances when you have to use the shift ability, but outside from that, SUPERHOT is a very fun game to play through. It sounds weird to say, but the game actually reminds me of Shadow of the Colossus. I mean, sure, that game is a third-person action adventure, but it's also kind of a puzzle game underneath, and the same goes for SUPERHOT because it really does make you think and be aware of what's going on when playing. I will say though, the game is very short. It took me around 2 hours to finish, but you do get a few extra playable modes at the end of the game that for me make up for the price tag of this game, and with that said, onto graphics. Okay, I'll make this very quick. The game looks funky, and I mean that in a good way. Enemies are a mix of bright red and orange and always stand out in the various different environments you're playing. These environments range from office building, back alleys, train stations and so on. With the bright enemies and clinical white environments, it creates an awesome and beautiful looking contrast that is just pretty to look at, and even more so when you kill an enemy due to them shattering into multiple pieces as if they're made out of glass. It's pure awesome. Overall, SUPERHOT is a fun and challenging game, but the price tag may put you off a little, so I suggest waiting for it to go down a little unless you really need something new to play. Thanks for watching my review on SUPERHOT for the PC. If you like what you've seen, then why didn't you consider subscribing or clicking on the screen to see more of my content? But as always, I'm the Friendly Bro, and I'll catch you guys next time.